the Handsworth Medical Practice.
Hello.
Hello. How can I help, Mr. Gibbons?
What have you been told?
To you, concerns about your well-being, really, mental well-being, exactly.
Really? Right. I had a visit from the ambulance crew yesterday morning about 3 a.m. because I was suicidal. I got a phone call from someone on your emergency mobile number. It took him 3 attempts before he could actually speak English. And I found it quite rude and quite offensive, to tell you the truth, that you, Handsworth Medical Centre, put a guy like that onto me who couldn't even say the word Handsworth without me asking him to repeat it. And then I called back and no one would answer my call. Twice I called back, and as I understand it, that phone call is supposed to be taken as a priority and you're supposed to drop anything you do and answer that call. The 2 occasions I called back, it went through to voicemail after being let ring. And when I called on I had to call back again this morning on a hidden number to get answered. So why has Handsworth Medical Centre apparently put restrictions on me? And why can they not deal with autistic people and emergency situations correctly? I even called in this morning, and still, 2 years after I asked for it, no one knows who the senior practitioner is. Funny that. And you still don't have an email address on your website, and you still don't take complaints over the phone. Are you ever going to comply with the law and make your service accessible?
These are very all important.
And I've been asking the same questions for 2.5 years.
So you tried to call twice after 10 o'clock yesterday?
No, he called me about 8:45. I couldn't answer because I was on a call to, I can't remember, the police or the ambulance crew or something. Oh, 111, because I was chasing their call back.
Yeah.
Because it took 8.5 hours for a call back which was supposed to be taken an hour.
And there are a lot of frustrations there with regard to...
Well, I'm sorry, but I've known your service now for a good 9 years. And your belligerence and rudeness is infamous. And you've done nothing about it. You even seem to train new members of staff to be rude. I don't know how you can do this.
I'm very, very saddened to hear this.
I've been trying to complain about it for over 3 years and you people won't take the complaint. I've complained to Joe Camplin, and absolutely rudely, if I email her personal, well, I say personal, her direct email, I get a response back from a general email, and that is not what you do. And it's not even from her. That's why you email the practice manager, so you can get through. I mean, do you know who the senior practitioner is, or do you not give a monkeys after all these years?
These are frustrations.
Do you know who the senior practitioner is?
We have a collegiate approach. So,
yes or no? I'm autistic, and it is a yes or no question. Do you know who the senior practitioner is?
There is no senior practitioner.
Right. So, is that a yes or no?
There is no senior practitioner.
Right, there is. For NHS purposes, there is. Do you sign this correspondence relating to the surgery?
So,
do you personally sign the correspondence relating to the surgery?
No, I
no.
don't.
So who does? Because that would be the senior practitioner.
Well, the mail goes to the usual doctor, and the patient is registered with the practice.
No. Correspondence from the NHS giving instructions and amendments to your contract. Who signs that? Because that is the senior practitioner. The NHS do not deal with every GP on an individual basis. They deal with a senior practitioner who has responsibility for signing all the legal paperwork on behalf of the surgery. So who signs all the paperwork on behalf of the surgery? Would not be the practice manager, because it would have to be someone clinical.
So there's several partners in the practice, and they...
I already heard this for 2.5 years. Do you sign the paperwork relating to the contract with the NHS? Yes or no?
So it's usually sent to the partners, and one of the partners will sign.
Yeah, and that would be the partner who is technically the senior practitioner. See, we're almost getting there. I'm educating a doctor. This is fantastic. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
What is the...
Right, just give me a direct yes or no instead of a well. Yes or no? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm listening.
Yes or no? I'm giving you yes or no answers. I want yes or no. Not well, maybe, and then give me fumble. Do you understand what I've been saying?
Yes, I understand. Yes.
Right. So, who's the person that actually signs on behalf of everyone else?
It's any of the partners.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
It's any of the partners.
No, it isn't.
You're wrong.
I'm not wrong, because it was up until 2 years ago. It was listed as the senior partner on the NHS website, but they've reformatted their websites, and I can't find the information I used to.
So,
it even has it. And this is where Handsworth Medical Centre really comes in tops. All the other GPs you look up on the NHS website, it lists the senior partner. But Handsworth Medical Centre don't even do that. All the other ones, you check it. Go to all the other GPs randomly throughout the country. It will list all the GPs and it will say senior partner. And that is the one they communicate with. So please stop lying to me. And in definition, a lie to me, because I'm autistic, is repeating information which you either do not know is accurate or you know is inaccurate. That is a lie to me. So basically, guesses is a lie. So what we're going to do about your approach to dealing with suicidal patients then? Because I already know what your policies are, and the bloke did not follow them. Is he going to be reprimanded? Or are you going to give it over to Sue to say, oh, well, you know, Mr. Gibbons is a naughty boy, so that's the approach that we take with him? Because your GPs and your practice still do not comply with the reasonable adjustments that I have on record since about March this year.
Well, I'm starting to hear this. How might I help you?
I want to know what your practice is going to do to improve its service, because you don't seem to be interested in improving your service.
So you're feeling suicidal?
Are you not? See, this is the worst bit about your surgery, and I've had this from people I've spoken to. I spoke to someone yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was someone at your surgery. Oh, it might have been, no, this morning when I called back about a one-on-one. And they are not even listening to the patient, and you're doing the same thing. I had to repeat myself 3 times this morning. And I found that rude that I had to repeat myself, even though I am technically speaking English. And initially, you're supposed to have staff that are trained at minimum GCSE grade 3 level. And yet, I have to repeat myself before anyone responds. And I'm now doing it to a doctor as well. And I expect more from you. So what is the surgery going to do about the rudeness and not listening to patients when they're talking to them? This has been going on for years, not just with me.
How can I help you today?
Right, do you want me to repeat myself again? What is the practice going to do about the rude behaviour of staff? Full stop. There we go.
So do you have suicidal feelings today?
Are you going to ignore me all the time? Full stop.
I'm asking, what are your suicidal feelings?
You're asking me questions but not responding to mine. Is that reasonable behaviour?
And how long have you been feeling suicidal for?
Are you not going... I am recording this call and it is going to my solicitors. So you better behave yourself. Are you ever going to answer my questions?
So this is being recorded without my consent. So
I don't have to get your consent.
You do actually.
I don't actually. Check with the Information Commissioner.
So how might I help with the suicidal feelings?
You can answer my questions for a start, because people ignoring me have made me suicidal. So, answer the questions. What are you going to do about rude behaviour and people not listening or responding to their patients at Handsworth Medical Practice?
We have regular practice meetings, and I can bring it up then.
Oh, so it hasn't been brought up before? Because I remember having a practice meeting, one of these POWs groups that Sue used to organise, and often Sue wouldn't attend until the last 5 or 10 minutes. And it was a just discussion group between patients. And that was supposed to have been organised for patients to discuss with Handsworth Medical Centre. And yet she didn't even bother turning up half the time. Did that not get raised?
So they're brought up on a case-by-case basis, so I can certainly bring it up that you're disaffected.
I've tried raising these complaints for 3 years. But you refuse to take complaints over the phone. Do you take complaints over the phone now? Because this sounds like you're taking complaints over the phone rather than responding to my questions.
We'd encourage you to write in so there's no misunderstanding.
Right, do you take complaints over the phone, yes or no?
No,
No. How is that within your accessibility requirements under Section 149 of the 2010 Equality Act in relation to protected characteristics specifically disabled via autism? How is that? It's a question.
So we would encourage you to...
How is that in compliance with your public sector equality duty?
Sorry, Mr. Gibbons.
Well, if you don't know the answer, then that is pathetic. You should be able to go like that. We're meeting our public sector equality duty by doing this, this and this. Come on, how are you meeting your public sector equality duty?
I'm offering to help you.
How are you meeting your public sector equality duty?
I'm offering to help you.
How are you meeting, this is the third time, how are you meeting your public sector equality duty when you restrict access to your service, i.e. you're not allowed complaints on the phone?
How might I help your suicidal feelings?
By answering my questions.
Well, the last thing I can offer really is...
Do you not understand that it is this attitude that your surgery has that has made me suicidal?
I'm offering to help.
You're not offering anything. You're not even willing to answer any questions. And that is the attitude your surgery has had for at least 9 years. So please, just answer my questions.
So I'm being intimidated by your questions.
You're intimidated by my questions? What part of my questions are intimidating you, sir?
Your raised voice and questioning when I'm trying to
Persistent questioning, persistent, repeated asking the same question because you are rudely ignoring it. That's what you mean, yes? For the record?
What are your suicidal feelings?
Right, you need... My suicidal feelings have been promoted by your surgery and your continued personal refusal to answer questions and your surgery's persistent discrimination of disabled adults, which you do not seem to care about.
I care about you.
You don't. Because otherwise you wouldn't have me repeat my questions and then use the repetition as an excuse for you being... What did you say? I'm frightening you or intimidating you. I ask one question 3 times and that's intimidating. Please explain how that is intimidating.
So,
Please explain how that is intimidating.
I'm not consenting to this being recorded, and you're welcome to come to
You don't have to consent. Ask the Information Commissioner.
You're welcome to come to the practice.
I'm housebound. Don't be rude.
I wasn't aware of that.
It should be on my records, and if you're calling me back, you should have checked my records. Did you check my records?
It does say you have Asperger's syndrome.
Did you check my records?
It does say you have Asperger's syndrome, yes.
Does it say I'm housebound? Because your doctor sent me a letter back in March confirming this. An open letter to all and sundry. So if it doesn't say I'm housebound, why, after 3.5 years, have you not updated your records to say I'm housebound? Because this is exactly the attitude that Dr. Kazi had, because he wrote to me 2 years ago saying, if you are housebound, Mr. Gibbons, call in and tell the receptionist. Which basically said, I don't believe you're housebound, and you have to prove it every time you tell reception. So why is it when I tell you stuff, you don't make notes of it?
Well, Mr. Gibbons, I've done my best to listen to you.
Why is it when I tell the surgery stuff, and indeed when I've got the support of Dr. Kennedy, it's not on my notes and you just ignore it?
I'm going to have to end this conversation.
So I'm suicidal and you're supposed to be trying to help me and you're not answering any questions, and that is part of the reason why I became suicidal. So you think that's okay then? So what about the rude staff member then? Whose name was it? He wouldn't even give me his name. He just hung up on me.
So let me summarise. We can...
What was the name of the bloke that called me? That should be on my file.
We can bring up your concerns at the next...
What was the name of the bloke that called me?
Sorry. What is your suicidal intent?
What is the name of the person that called me?
Answering my questions now, which is of a clinical concern.
It's a clinical concern, but you've not answered one of my questions so far. When you start answering my questions, then we'll do a 2-way.
No, I'm going to end the conversation, I'm afraid.
So you don't care?